Hello and welcome to my video today. This is a part 2 video on the Viofo A119M Pro dashcam. This is an inexpensive one-channel dashcam that offers full 4K resolution, as well as a number of other features such as parking surveillance, and that's enabled since I hooked up the power to the car's fuse box with the hardware kit, and I showed that in the last video. I also received a Bluetooth remote that can control saving images, video on the dashcam, as well as turning off and on the Wi-Fi and microphone. I'm going to be showing you how to use the dashcam, set it up with your phone, download videos to your phone, and I'm going to do some sample driving in daylight and nighttime conditions. And I'm hoping that gives you a good idea of how this dashcam performs. So let's get started. So I just turned on the car, and that initiated the dashcam to turn on due to the direct connection to the fuse box. On the dashcam itself, it is on. I am going to go into the menu and I am going to turn the Wi-Fi on. That's the fourth button on the right.
Wi-Fi enabled.
And Wi-Fi is enabled, as it says right there. Next, I'll open the Viofo app on my iPhone. If you don't have the app, you can download it from the Google Play Store or from the Apple Store. I press the Connect Camera button on the app and it's searching for it. So let me just give that a minute. On the next page here, it says power on the camera. Make sure you have the phone Wi-Fi turned on. I'm going to press next. Then I'm going to press next again. So I am going to open up the system settings. Here we go, the 5G Viofo A119M Pro. I'm going to click on that. And then it asks for a password. Well, temporarily, the password is 12345678. I suggest changing that.
Wi-Fi connected.
I suggest changing that once you get in the system. And as you can see on the phone, it shows the dashcam is connected to the Wi-Fi. I'm going to go back to the app now. And now it is connecting to the camera. I can see the image right here. It defaults to 4K 30 frames per second. You have some other options here. You have snapshot where you can take a picture. You have switch camera. There's only one channel, one camera lens on here, so that is not going to be effective. And other things on the bottom here, we can turn off the recording by pressing that red button. And let's go into settings, which is that gear button there. And let's go down the list of items here. So I'm going to start with video resolution. Here are the resolutions. We have 4K 30 frames per second. Next up, we have 4K 21:9 ratio, 30 frames per second. Then we have 2K 30 frames per second, and then 1080p 30 frames per second. I'm going to default to the top one there. Here's a video test. The resolution is 4K 30 frames per second with HDR off. This is also 4K 30 frames per second, but with HDR on. I now have the settings set for 4K 21:9 resolution, 30 frames per second, HDR off. Also 4K 21:9, 30 frames per second, but with HDR on. I now have the resolution set for 2K 30 frames per second, HDR off. This is also 2K 30 frames per second with HDR on. I'm now at the lowest resolution, 1080p, 30 frames per second, HDR off. And finally, we have the last setting, 1080p, 30 frames per second, with HDR set to on. Next, we have loop recording, and that's how long the camera records before starting a new file. So for example, if you have it 1 minute, then it's going to make 1 minute files. I usually like longer files since I tend to record on trips and I don't like to have as many files recorded. So I usually do a 5 minute mode, but this one offers 10 minutes, which is even longer than I usually see. So I'm going to pick the 10-minute option. Then we have recording audio volume. We can have it off, low, medium, or high. I'm going to leave it at high. Next, we have exposure, and you can adjust the exposure, basically how light or bright the image is, and you can increase it if you want it to go higher, brighter, and then decrease it if you want it darker. So I'm going to leave it on the default 0. There's also HDR off, on, and auto. HDR is very handy to have at night when you're driving. License plates tend to reflect and are hard to see unless you have HDR on. Here's an example of using 4K with HDR off, and you can see that the license plates are impossible to read. And now we have 4K with HDR turned on, and you can see a big difference. I'm going to select auto, and then you can actually select what time you want it to turn on. So for example, in my area here, around 5 p.m. is when it gets dark. So I will change that. That will be 1700. And then HDR off, I'm going to put at, I don't know, 7 a.m., for example. So I'm going to press OK. And the great thing about setting the time is that it's automatic. You don't need to go into the settings and turn it on and off. So that's pretty handy to have. Next, we have the G sensor, which determines if there's a shock to the dash cam and then possibly your car, and that it will start recording. You can have it low sensitivity, medium, or high sensitivity. I'm going to keep it on the default low. We also have a date stamp, and that is a date and time that's marked on the video itself, which I recommend having on. So that is on by default. Next up, we have bitrate. You can choose low, medium, or high. Bitrate is pretty much the quality of the image other than the resolution. So if you have it on low bitrate, it's going to be more compressed and it may have more compression errors. So I usually recommend at least medium or high. I'm going to select high since that is my preference. Then we have time-lapse recording. We can have that all bunch of different settings here. We have 100 milliseconds, 200, 500, 1 second, 2 second, 5, 10, 30, 1 minute, 5 minute, 10 minute. So if you want to do a time-lapse recording, say you're parked outside and you want to have a view of the clouds moving around all day, you can have that going like every minute, take a photo, and that will be the time-lapse recording. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to turn that on for 1 minute. You can always turn that off. Then we have vehicle voltage value, and that is the voltage that you want protected for the 12-volt battery. And that's set on that little module that I have by the fuse box. You have a variety of settings. I think it went anywhere from 11.8 up to 12.3 volts. And I'm going to leave that on for protection. Next, we have system settings for time zone. I am going to plug in my time zone. I think +4, if I am not mistaken. I'll see when I look on here. Date format, we usually like, I'm going to do year, month, day. Time synchronization, you want to sync with your phone. That's nice. I'm going to say yes. Boot delay. So that's how long until the dash cam starts up when you're starting up the car. Some cars may have some issues with the voltage right away, so you may want it to delay. I'm going to leave mine to off, but if you do happen to notice an issue, you can always change it to 5 or 10 seconds. Next, we have the LED. So you can turn the LED on and off on the device itself. So the dash cam, if that LED is annoying you, you can turn it off. I'm going to leave it on by default. Next, we have parking mode. And here are the options for that. We have auto event detection, which is basically if it finds movement, it will start recording. Then you could do time lapse 1 frame per second using night vision. So that's great in the dark. If you're in the daytime, you may want to use the time lapse 1 frames per second. And then you can adjust that as high as you want. You got options for 2, 3, 5, and 10 frames per second. And then you also have low bitrate recording. So the options here are, if you want the dash cam to last longer, the power for it to last longer, I would recommend having it do the lowest frames per second, since that uses the least amount of power. And also depending on the size of the micro SD card that you have installed. If you have an SD card that is on the smaller side, you may want it to do it a lower frames per second or a low bit rate. However, if you have a large card in there, say a 512 gigabyte card, go for it. You could probably put the higher frames per second and have no issues. I am going to do the 1 frames per second on here for parking mode. I'm going to do some samples and show you how those work.
Parking recording started.
Parking GPS, you can have on or off. I'm going to leave it to on. Parking recording timer, you can tell it for how long you want it to record. So it can go anywhere from 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 4, 6, 8, 12, 24, or 48 hours. I'm going to leave it on the default 48. Then we have enter parking mode timer. So I am going to look at that. Oh, so you can set the timer for when it goes into parking mode. I'm going to select 90 seconds. So that's when you turn your car off, the power is off, and then it will go into parking mode. I want to give enough time to get out of the car and lock it and all that. So usually 90 seconds is good for that. So that's what I'm going to use. We have parking G sensor, medium sensitivity, low or high. I'm just going to leave it on medium. Parking motion detection. So this is how sensitive it is to detecting motion. It's low, medium, or high. I'm going to leave it on medium. Then we have options for the image mirror and image rotate. So that's if you have the dash cam mounted in an upside down or different position than normal, you can change it so that when it records the right side up. So I'm going to leave those off since mine is installed the normal way. We also have notification sounds. You can have off, button beep, startup sound only, or all on. I'm going to pick startup sound. And then we also have voice notification. I'm going to leave that on. Voice control, leave that on. Voice commands. Here's a list of all the commands. You may want to have a little cheat sheet of these, and then you can memorize them. We have take photo, video start, video stop, turn on audio, turn off audio, turn on screen, turn off screen, lock the video, turn on Wi-Fi, and turn off Wi-Fi. So those are the voice commands. Next, we have privacy mode. You can have that on or off. I'm going to leave it off. GPS will have the position of the car shown in the video. So I'm going to leave that on. Speed unit. We have kilometers per hour or miles per hour. I'm going to select miles per hour. Then we have GPS info timestamp. So you can have it off. You can have speed and coordinates. You can have speed or just coordinates. I'm just going to use both speed and coordinates. That's obviously up to you how you want to have that on your settings. Then we have the camera model stamp. I'm going to leave that on for now. Screensaver. That's how long it takes until the screen on the dash cam turns off. It goes anywhere from 1 second, 3 second, 15, 30 second, 1 minute, 3 minute. I'm going to put 30 seconds. Frequency. This is usually 60 hertz for North America and 50 hertz for Europe. I'm going to keep the language on English. We have the voice notification volume. You have choices of low, medium, high. Going to leave it on medium. And what else do we have here? We have format. Do you want to format the SD card? All data will be erased. No, I'm not going to format it. Format reminder. Interesting. So you can remember to format the card every 15, 30, or 60 days or none at all. I think that may be because some people find the performance on the SD cards is better if you format them every so often. I really haven't noticed that. So, but if that's something you want to do, that's a pretty handy reminder to have. Next, we have Bluetooth button function. So we have the mic button, which is turn on, turn off microphone, then the action button, turn on, turn off Wi-Fi. And you have some other choices of things in here. You can do take a photo, you can power off, you can switch to time lapse, turn on and off HDR, go to parking mode. So yeah, it's very flexible. You can assign the mic button and the action button to do different things. I'm going to do the default mic button, do microphone, action button, do Wi-Fi. And before I forget, let me give you some more information about the Bluetooth remote that's right here. In the last video, I mounted it to the center console area. And what we need to do now is we need to pair it with the dash cam. So if I press this button here for about 3 seconds, it will pair it with the dash cam. So let me press it and hold it. And now it should be paired. You saw that little blue LED right there go off. So if I press the dash cam, so if I press this button, it should lock the current video.
Video protected.
Then we have the buttons on the side. We have the Wi-Fi on and off, And I'm going to press that right now, and you'll see on the dash cam
Wi-Fi enabled.
is now enabled. Then I can press it again if I want to turn Wi-Fi off.
Wi-Fi disabled.
Then we have the microphone button here. I'm going to press that one.
Voice recording disabled.
And if I press it again,
Voice recording enabled.
so now we have full access of those commands with this remote. So very convenient to have if you want to do this functionality and you don't want to open the app, or you don't want to reach to the dash cam itself if it's in an out of the way location. Next, we have Wi-Fi channel. You can select your channel. You can pick either 2.4, 5 gigahertz, or 5.8 gigahertz. I'm going to leave it on default 5 gigahertz. Next, we have the Wi-Fi name. That is fine. I'm going to keep that default. Wi-Fi password, we're going to keep that the same. I'm going to change that when I finish the video. Next, we have Wi-Fi station configuration. You can give that information. I'm going to leave that off for now. Then we can have a custom text stamp that's displayed in the video. That's very handy. That may be nice if you have multiple cars, you want to have it to say which car the video is from. Then there's car license number. You can put the license number, license plate on there. Maybe better for identification of the vehicle. And then free space on card. And then we have reset camera settings. You can press that button if you want to reset everything, basically like a factory reset. So I'm going to cancel and not do that. And then finally on the bottom, we have version. We have the app version and the firmware version. You can check in the app if there's any updates. So that's it for all the settings. So very, very cool. You can customize a lot of things on this dash cam. Even though it is a base model, or a little above base model, and really the base model is the one that I reviewed earlier this year, that A119 Mini 2, which has a 1440 resolution, which is somewhere between HD and 4K. However, this dash cam has full 4K, so you're getting an upgrade over that one, definitely. Let's see what else we have in the menu system here. If you click on that icon in the lower left, it brings up the file system. And I have a bunch of different videos that have been recording. I installed the camera last night, and I have already a bunch of different video that I could download to my phone. For example, if I want this one right here, I can watch it on the app. Let's see, if I do full screen sideways, I can actually watch the video. So very cool. Then there's a button up top for downloading and another button for delete. So you can actually delete videos off the dash cam. I am going to test the download to the phone. So let me press the download button, and there it goes. It's actually very, very quick. It downloaded a 237 megabyte file in, gosh, several seconds. So very impressive. Going to press the back button. It goes to that file system. And then the file system's organized by different categories. You can have all of the videos, which is the default one right here. You can have the locked one, which are ones that you've saved. Parking is while the car is in parking mode. And then separate any photos that you take, you can have those there too. So I'm going to go back to all, and then you can also do a search and select. So if you want to do multiple videos to download or delete, you can do that right from this interface. So very handy to have. So it gives you the options here of delete, download, and this one is select all. So the bottom left button, you can select all the videos if you choose. So I am not going to delete them. Going to press cancel. Let's see what else we have on the screen. There's a button on the upper right that is the phone. So basically what I've downloaded to my phone, I can also watch. So that's pretty handy too. So you can actually see what videos have been downloaded to your phone, and you can also watch them from there. So the file system seems pretty nice. You can also do search on a certain date. So if I want to search going back the other day, I can click on the 6th, and there they are. So yeah, so searching is pretty nice too. I'm going to go back, and that brings me to the main menu.
Recording started.
And whenever you're in the submenus, it stops recording. So if you're in the settings menu or if you're in the file system menu, the recording will pause. So just to let you know about that. And that's about it. Pretty simple to use. If I go out and press the left here, it will go out to the main menu. Then in the upper left, there's a button I'm going to press, and let me see if there's a firmware update. This camera does not support firmware online upgrade. Interesting. So if there are any software updates, firmware updates for this dash cam, you're going to need to download them from Viofo and then upload those to the dash cam itself, usually on a micro SD card. And that's probably one of the differences between this level of dash cam and Viofo's higher level dash cams that have more features. Those would have online updates for the dash cams software. Well, that's about it. I gave a quick view of the Viofo dashcam app, how you use it to set up your dashcam, how to make any changes, and also if you want to download or delete any of the videos, you can do that directly on the phone, and you don't have to use the dashcam itself. You could do everything that I did right now on the dash cam using the menus, using the 4 hardware buttons that are on the dash cam, but I find it much easier to do any of the settings on the phone. I don't have to reach around and try to get the dash cam, since I have it placed in an area that is more discreet and I don't see it when I'm driving. Next up, I'm going to show you some videos of driving during the daytime and also nighttime. I'm going to try to have some different conditions, also different road conditions as far as busy roads, highway versus city roads, and that should give you a good idea of the performance of the 4K resolution on the dash cam. I'm probably not going to be saying much in that part of the video. I'm probably just going to be running the video with some text to let you know about the detail, and also if there's anything else, I'll probably just let you know at that point. So I'll see you at the end of the video for my final thoughts. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed the video samples of the Viofo A119M Pro dash cam. It's a one-channel dash cam with 4K resolution. It's got lots of settings that you can change on the dash cam itself or using the Viofo phone app. And I recommend using the phone apps because it makes it so much easier to change those settings and also access the videos itself. So if you want to get the videos off the dash cam, you can either take the micro SD card out of the dash cam and put it in a laptop or computer, or you could just use the app and download them straight to your phone. So I find that super convenient, and the Wi-Fi connection is very fast. So it doesn't take very long to get those files. I do recommend going through all those settings and customizing it to the way that you like so you get the best image quality and also best features that you are interested in on that dash cam. And as you can see, the video is very good. The view outside of the windshield has good coverage, wide angle of view. It's also good that it includes a CPL or circular polarized filter with the kit. That is a nice extra for a low base level camera like this. A lot of times you have to buy those filters separately as an option. Also, the dashcam included a 60 gigabyte micro SD card to use right away. And if you do feel that you need more space, there's also 128, 256, and 512 gigabyte micro SD cards that you could use in its place. So for example, if you're going on a very long trip and you want to record the entire driving, then I would recommend getting a big micro SD card. Another thing I want to add is the driving quality at night. When you have the HDR turned on, it's much better for seeing fine detail, such as license plates. Usually, if you don't have HDR, those details will be blown out. For example, the license plate will just look like a white splotch and you won't see any of the numbers or letters on the license plate. So having the HDR on this camera is a great thing. And in addition, it has the auto HDR feature, which I really like, that it only turns the HDR on at the times you want. So at night, you can have it turn on automatically. During the daytime, when you don't need the HDR, it will not be on. So very flexible in the software settings, and I do appreciate them doing that for nighttime driving. And the dash cam itself is a very compact unit. As you can see, I mounted it to the right of my rear view mirror, and it doesn't take up much space at all. And if you install it in just the right way, you can minimize the amount of cables that are visible, and it makes it look more integrated with the car. So I do recommend doing that in the installation. See the part 1 video where I cover all of that process. Well, that about covers everything that I wanted to talk about on the Viofo A119M Pro dashcam. If you're interested in this item and the Bluetooth remote control and the parking mode that's enabled by using the direct wire kit to the fuse box. All 3 of those items I have in the video description. Feel free to click on those links. I have both the Viofo website as well as Amazon for purchasing. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.